Hey, it's Mr. Johns, and I'm going to be working on Breakout 2. I realized that my last tutorials were super blurry. I had recorded them at school on a low resolution 720 HD, still HD, but so low quality that they were blurry. And these tutorials cannot be blurry. You need to be able to see these code blocks to be able to use them, copy them, put them into your game. So I'm going to make a new video, and I'm actually going to try to do all the 6 add-ons to convert Breakout 1 to Breakout 2. So let's get going. What we'll do is we'll start with the I'm just going to basically take the sprites right down here in the lower left, lower right of my screen, and show you the code blocks and discuss them. So I don't expect you to understand every block. I don't understand every block. There's a few that don't make sense to me, probably never will. Over time, coders will maybe use different code, different blocks, even though maybe they take longer or there's more of them. It's not the most efficient code block, but it makes sense to them, and that's what matters in coding. If you just don't know and you always have to look stuff up, I mean, that's okay, for some of it. But it's nice if eventually you can kind of start to understand the code that you write, so you can control it. I've mentioned in class that there's kind of a level 1, 2, and 3 for coders. Level 1 is just kind of a noob, and you're trying to figure out what's what, don't know where things are, and you're kind of stumbling around. But you're learning, at least, right? You're new, but probably don't have a lot of confidence in creating much. Level 2 is where most people are, and that's where you kind of are comfortable with Scratch. You know where things are, but you need to follow a tutorial or other people's examples to make things work. Don't really understand a lot of the detail, but you do know, for example, like you have to have a when clicked block to start things. You know some basics, and that's where most people are. And then level 3 is where you can really create your own code, your own games, your own programs. And of course, people are somewhere in between all of those numbers. Solid 1, solid 2, or solid 3. I'd say I am slightly above 2, and I've been kind of hovering there because I don't devote a ton of time to coding, but I understand most of it. So with that said, let me discuss the code blocks that I've got for this purple paddle right here. So in the previous game, this paddle had this block here, which basically just told it to not rotate and to start in this location, which is X is left and right. And so 130 puts it pretty much in the middle when the game starts, or to the right just slightly. And negative 140 is the height off the bottom of the screen. And there's a reason for that, as we learned previously, that in order for the ball to bypass, to get past the paddle had to be up at negative 140. Okay. The numbers don't make a whole lot of sense to me. I know that when I drag this paddle, I can see the numbers here move, and they also move here, 2 different places. So it tells me that if I put the paddle at the very, very, very bottom of the screen, as low as I can go, it's about negative 190. So why? I have no idea. Probably not, doesn't matter to me why, but as I go up, the number gets smaller, and 140 is where it was, and then it goes up, and by the time you get to the middle of the screen, and that's probably where this comes from, it's 0, 0, right in the very, very middle. So I imagine there's my answer, I guess, right? So it goes up from 0 and down from 0. I like when I answer my own questions, and so it just makes it so the paddle, and by the way, you don't have to you don't have to put the paddle back. Just leave it. It will go there. You coded it. You told it to go there. So I always laugh when people think they have to move these things around and leave them. Nope. When you hit go, it will go back to where you told it to go. All right, so this is a review, this top one. Don't need to worry about that one. This is a new one right here, and so this is going to basically make the paddle flash. All right, so when it receives the bounce message, okay, and remember to add these, you just go over to these events and grab a when I receive right here. When I receive, and if bounce wasn't already created, it would have something else or nothing. But you go to new message and then you just type in bounce. You tell it what you want it to be. Okay, so that's how I created the bounce message. I did that previously, so at least it would bounce off the walls. And so it's a message that I had already had for the walls, but I also need to tell it to use the bounce for the paddle. And in this case, the code is just for the flashing paddle. So if the distance to the ball is less than 60, which by the way is close enough to bounce, okay? Okay. If you probably look close enough, it maybe, oh, if I can hit it, it maybe doesn't bounce exactly. If you look, don't look carefully. You'll be disappointed if you look carefully. It's actually not hitting the paddle. Shh, secret, it's a secret. So if you want to change that, it's funny when you notice it. If you want to change that number to something different to make it so it looks like it's closer to the paddle, you sure can. So that's what that's for. And then we want to repeat this 5 different times to change the color effect by 50. So it just means that when we hit play and it hits the paddle, it's going to flash. You notice how it basically it flashes 5 different colors so fast you don't even notice. Watch again. It flashes 5 colors super fast. And that's the repeat. That's the repeat. It happens every time it bounces. Okay. If you only had 1 on there, let's go ahead and put that on there. We only had 1. Let's run it again. Let's see what happens to the color. Oh, it's so boring. Look at that, right? So if that's how you like it, awesome. But you can just put a number here. That's the great thing about coding is you certainly can just play with numbers. Once you understand, look at that. Now it just flashes. Let's get rid of the email. And they made me lose whoever that was. Once you understand what those numbers are, then you're like, okay, I am safe. I am safe to change that number. I can't screw up the code if I change that number. Any of these numbers, really, you're okay with the numbers. All right, so that is paddle. That's all you need is the paddle code, those ones. So you can certainly pause the video, and if they're clear enough to read, copy those into your paddle code block. All right, let's look at the ball. And remember that you can right click and clean up the blocks, and that so if things get kind of drug around and stuff like that, you can always right click, clean up blocks. It lines them back up again. So let's take a look at this. I've just added some code here, so you're going to recognize some of this pre-existing code, so you're not writing brand new code, by the way. I mean, Breakout 2 is just a sequel. You're just improving on. You're not starting over. So here we have basically, hey, we're coding the ball. Hey, ball, when we start in the middle. Watch this. Does it start in the middle? It sure does. Why? Because we told it to. So go to 0, 0, and point in the direction of 135. You'll notice that the ball always goes the same direction every time. Why? We told it to. That's the great thing about coding. It gives you a little power. I mean, I know how to tell it to do this. Now watch this. If I change this to, let's go like negative 135. Where's that going to go? I don't know. Let's find out. Whoa, see over there, other side. I didn't even know. So I guess when the game starts, make sure I go over there. Or I can put it back. Now, what was the number? 1? I don't remember. I don't remember. Let's try that. 131. Oh, that's way over. I think it was like 135. Let's try that. Okay, I can live with that. 135 is great. Okay. So that's what that is. Point in the direction and wait a second. You notice that there's a second delay, 1/1000. Boom. Okay. So it gives you a second to move your paddle, which is awesome. And you can change that too. If your little brother wants to play, or little sister, and she's 3, you can change that to 3 seconds or something, which would be so cute. But you can do that. Why? Because you can. So move 10 steps. If on edge, bounce. So basically, if it's on the paddle, bounce. Right? We already have if on edge, bounce. That's a command over here. If on edge, bounce. That's going to be a motion up here. If on edge, bounce. And then if it's touching the paddle, if touching paddle, then play a sound. I like boing. You can choose any sound you want. Why? This is America. That's why. That's the answer to that one. America. Start the sound boing and broadcast bounce. Just means bounce. All it means is bounce. So when it hits the paddle, bounce. And make a noise. That's it. That's all that means. Okay, next code block. When I receive the bounce, so this code block is telling the ball what to do when it hits the walls. Because we said right here, don't until if it's not touching the paddle. Okay, so if it bounces but it's not touching the paddle, it has to be a wall or a ceiling. Has to be, right? Because you'll lose if it goes down to the bottom, right? It's kind of common sense. So when I receive bounce, please bounce backwards 180 degrees. So it's negative direction. See that? Point in the direction 180 degrees. That just means degrees. Minus the direction that it hit the wall. So watch, when it hits the wall somewhere, it's going to bounce. It's going to bounce 180 degrees in relation to how it hit the wall. Okay. I'm not really sure if I'm watching if that's exactly what it's doing, but it should be. Because why? Because I told it to. All right, so repeat until it's not touching the paddle, and then move 20 steps. That's how fast it moves. Okay, so you can play with that as well. All right, last code block for ball. When clicked, forever, if the Y position is less than 40, negative 140, then game over. This is what ends the game. Okay? Game over. Now, this game over thing here is not the words game over. It's just tell the game it's over. Okay, that's what broadcast means, by the way. It just means tell the game over. So if the Y position, which is up and down, of the ball, right here, I'll grab it, I'll show you, is less than minus 140, boop, right there, anything below the paddle, game over. Okay, you have to have that or the game will not ever end. All right, let's take a look at bricks. This is a kind of a big one. Okay, bricks. Let's go to the top of bricks. And so make sure you have your bricks selected, and we'll create this first code block. You probably already have some of it from Breakout 1 because we basically have told it when we click hide, and by the way, we're talking about bricks, so it's always good to focus on what you're coding because, like, why am I hiding? What am I hiding? Well, if you're, oh, it's bricks, that's right. When the game starts, there's no bricks, but then they show up, okay? So hide the bricks, set the score back to 0, because we're starting over. Set the size of the bricks to half size. I don't know why I did that, but I didn't want them full size. Let's find out if I do full size. 100%. Let's see what happens. Now I know why I did 50%. Okay, that's way too big. So you can play with that number. There's nothing, you know why? It's America. And you can put any number you want in there. So set size to 50% and go to negative 200 and Y positive 140. That's basically telling that one brick. We're only talking about one brick. So please keep that in mind here. It's one green brick. We're telling it to go to this location. And then we do this really cool thing. We're going to clone it. Clone just means make copies of, right? So, and we're going to copy it 4 times in this direction, which, again, this is maybe one of the codes you're not going to completely understand. But I think if you appreciate the fact that this is going to say, hey, make 4 rows with these numbers. Okay, watch this. 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 rows. And this is the spacing. Okay, if you understand that, that's enough. For now. Now repeat 7 times and change the Y by 65 7 times across. See that? 7 times across. There are 7 columns. Okay, 65 spaces apart. Whatever. I think millimeters. That helps me understand a little bit. I don't know what it is, but I think 65 millimeters apart. That's awesome. That works. And it's probably way smaller than that, so but it makes sense to me. So then you have to have this create clone of myself. The myself is the brick. So remember, we're programming the brick. So this, we start with this one brick in this location, and we tell it to create a clone of myself and create these rows and columns. Awesome. Okay. Once you get that code block done, you've got those bricks that show up. Okay, they show up when you hit play. And then we want to add some special effects to the bricks. So let's do this big long code block, one step at a time. When I start as a clone, this is a brand new thing over here under control. Now that you have a clone, we can have when I start as a clone, okay, change the Y, the up and down, by -10. Set the ghost. We're telling the brick to animate. So if you can picture what we're doing here, change the Y by -10. Set the ghost effect to 100. And these are really kind of random things I picked. You could choose a different effect. You can choose a different number if you want. But I want when it makes a clone, show these things. Okay, we are animating the brick coming into the game. Okay, we're going to repeat 10 steps. Change the Y by 1. Okay, that's up and down by 1. Change the ghost effect by -10, and then wait 0.01 seconds. So what's that do? That brings in those bricks. I'll do it again. Brings them in slowly, kind of animated, just so it's something a little bit different to look at. Before I did that effect, the bricks were just there waiting for you, which most games are, and I wanted something a little more interesting. So, than that. Okay. Next area here. So you've got this repeat block for this ghost effect right here. We're going to have a forever block. This forever block goes way down forever. It goes way down there forever. So make sure you have, I'm going to zoom, maybe I can zoom out a little bit here. If you need to pause it or take a picture of that, you can. You got this huge forever block, and then inside that forever block you have it's massive, and then another big if-then block. And then inside that you can see there's a bunch of blocks inside of blocks, and you have to get these in the right order. That's why you have to pretty much copy it or understand 100% of what it's doing. Okay, let me zoom in again. So, okay, so if bricks are touching the ball, that's kind of what this means. If the brick is touching the ball, think of it the other way around, the ball touching the brick. It doesn't matter. The game doesn't care. But if the brick is touching the ball, then pick a random sound. Now, you don't have to have this. You could just have it. If the ball is touching the brick, play this sound. It's easier. I like 2 sound effects. Listen to it. There are 2 sound effects when the bricks break. Kind of a whoop and a zoop, zoop. Okay, it's supposed to be a space thing. That's my theme I'm going for, is kind of a space theme. So this is just to show you another kind of trick that when touching the ball, when the brick is touching the ball, hey, program, choose one of these randomly. 1 to 2. And you only have 2 choices, by the way, computer. So, pick one. And then if you choose 1, it's going to be this one, laser 1. If you can choose 2, it's going to be laser 2. All right, let's go down. If there's a bounce, now that's ball against brick. Okay, we're programming the brick right now, not the ball. But if there is a bounce event, think of it as an event. Change the score by 1. So give me a point. Now, if you want 50 points, type in 50. It will give you 50 points every brick. It doesn't matter, right? That's up to you. You're the programmer. And then, so that's the score. That's all you need for score is right there. When you bounce into a brick, give me a point. That's it. Okay. This bottom part, the last part of the brick. Here, repeat 10. And this all is the animation for making the brick leave. So if you watch what it does when a brick breaks, it spins, it changes color, and it shrinks. Okay, cool effect, right? So this is all it is. Repeat. Okay, 10 different things, which means it's gonna flash 10 different times real quick. It's gonna change the color effect 20, like, I don't know what the scale is, but it's going to go from red to green or whatever that effect is. That's how much it's going to change the color. Definitely change that, play with that number. It's really fun to see what you come up with. We did that a little bit with rainbow lines previously. Change the color effect by 25. Change the ghost effect by 5. Ghost makes it disappear. And change the size by -4. That's why it shrinks. -4. And then change the Y, which is the up and down. That's why it goes up. By 4, not very much, and also make it turn 15 degrees to the right. Let's watch. Is that what it does? Shrinks, goes up to the right and spins, and it flashes a bunch of colors 10 different times. That's exactly what it does because we told it to. All right, let's get over to these last couple things. Oh no, you lose. That's what I called mine, but yours could just be you lose or something. And the coding is really simple. When clicked, now we're talking about the oh no, you lose sprite that you created in the Paint program. Paint. And all you do is type in the words you lose or oh no, you lose. So I'm telling it, when we start the game, go to 0, 0, which is right in the middle, but hide yourself. However, when you receive the game over event, show yourself and then stop the game. It's easy. Does that make sense? Watch this. Okay, boom. So it's in the middle of the screen because I told it to. It was hidden until the game over message was sent. The event happened. And then it showed itself and the whole game stopped. All right, what about if you win? So I'm gonna show you one more thing. Under backdrops, this is where I added my music. Why I put it under backdrops, I don't know. I always think of it as something that's part of the background. It's not part of a sprite, so that's why I put it there. And if I ever delete a sprite, then I won't lose the music. And so I don't plan on deleting this backdrop. So all I have is when we start the game, when clicked, forever play this sound, okay? And it was a sound that was just built into the Scratch, and it was too loud to begin with, so I went to the, it's called Dance Energy something. I just went to softer, 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 and you can go louder, louder, louder. You can actually play songs backwards to hear if there are any subliminal messages or just to hear what it sounds like backwards. Which is, I'm joking, but you can hear what it sounds like when songs are played backwards. You can also make it sound like a robot. You can also play the song completely backwards, fade it in, fade it out, make it slower, make it faster. I just wanted to make mine a little bit softer. That's all. That's all. Okay, and you can do that for any of the sound effects. All right, so now back to the you win. Back to the backdrop. That's just where I put the code for the music. That's all it's there. And the very last thing in this game is, and I left it blank on purpose, I made some notes to myself to remind myself to see if I can do this. It's been a while since I've coded just a you win. So we're going to make a go to 0, an x0, and a y0. So if I do this together, if we do this together, you'll see how much I struggle with this too. So we're going to go to event. So when I don't even have the colors in front of me, I didn't write down the colors. So I'm gonna struggle because I usually write down the colors. When, so what is it? It's a go to. It's a go to. I should be in the right place. It isn't. It's a motion, isn't it? Go to. So I'm looking. Go to. Yeah, that's what I thought. Blue. All right. Oh, I'm gonna have to have a when clicked. You always have to have a when clicked. So when clicked, we're talking about this you win, not this you lose thing. It's you win. Go to 0, 0. It's the same thing. We're going to put you win right in the middle of the screen. And then we want to, of course, tell it to hide. Now hide's going to be looks. So let's slap a hide in there. So, hey, when we start the game, go to the middle and hide yourself. And then we're going to have a set score to, which I think is orange. Set score, if I remember right. Or is that a variable? Yeah, it's a variable. It's a dark orange. Set. This right here. Set, and the score was a previous variable that we made for the first game. So we're going to set the score to 0. So when the game starts, set the score to 0. Nothing unique here so far. And now we're going to wait until, so what would wait be? A motion? Probably. Wait until. Blue doesn't sound right for wait though. And I know it's not purple. It's not sound. Event. Maybe it's an event. Wait. That makes sense. Wait. Oh, no. There it is. It's a control. So it's a light orange. So wait until. Okay, so you can see what we're doing here. When you start the game, start in the middle, hide yourself, make the score go to 0 again. And we're going to wait until the score equals 28. So wait until, let's see, we need some math here. Wait until equals, probably this one. Wait until score, which is a variable, score. Wait until the score equals, and there's only 28 blocks. So, I mean, if you want to win after 4, you could cheat and do that. But 28 is how many blocks there are. So wait until the score equals 28, and then this should make sense as well to you. Show yourself, show. And we should have a stop all, which should be a control. Stop all, stop all. So unfortunately, to make sure this works, you have to play the game and win. So as I test this, luckily it goes pretty fast if you hit multiple bricks at once. It doesn't take very long at all. You just don't want to miss and have to start over. I also learned something about the game. I thought my paddle was laggy and getting stuck. It turns out my mouse pointer was getting outside the box. And here we go, we're almost ready to win. My mouse pointer was going outside the box. I wasn't paying too much attention. I normally don't play mouse games like this, and so my mouse was way out here, and of course the paddle would freeze, and I have to get it back in. Didn't even realize I was doing that. So if you're having the same issue with your paddle, that's all it was. I was cussing out Scratch for having bad physics. I feel bad. I owe them an apology because the physics are great. It was just me. All right, so you notice that when my score reached 28, it showed you win. That's awesome. All right, that's all the upgrades you have to do, and to get the full credit, I'm looking for those things. Now, can it look a little different, sound a little different? Of course, but I'm going to go down the list and see. Okay, does your paddle flash? Do the bricks animate in? That's 10 more points. Do the bricks animate out? Do you have a backdrop? That's 10 points. Do you have a sound when the ball hits the paddle? Boing. Do you have a sound when the ball hits a brick? So those are the things I'm looking for, and I think with this tutorial that should help you get through it. You can both see it and then pause it and create those code blocks in your own Scratch program and make your own Breakout 2. So hope you had fun with that. Mr. Johns out.